Let me
Listen, sorry, I'm going to shorten that. It's a rapid fire.
up with by 25. She'd already become the managing partner.
And now the pressure is on to break a leg in this session when you're working with brands, whether big or small. Creating and maintaining those relationships is very important. Knowing what's trending, caring for them. Like brand managers are quick to jump to solutions. Does that problem even exist? Your day should start on a happy note. Everyone is doing what they're doing with happiness. I think I'm talking too much about happiness.
I want to work for you.
Campaigns that brands are doing all over the world.
I want to almost clap for that answer. It was so good.
I'm flattered that you wanted to talk to me.
Girl, you killed it. Hi everyone and welcome to Mentor Mondays, your safe space to learn, transform and grow. With this series, we aim to create a direct dialogue that allows budding professionals to deep dive into the minds of young achievers. The mentor we have for you today is someone who is a unique blend of being traditional yet progressive, just like her career. Her career started with VTY, which is now known as Longform. Longform is one of India's most reputed communication strategy agencies for luxury and lifestyle brands. You might have even heard of some of their clients, like Sabyasachi, Cartier, Nicobar, the Olive Group of restaurants, and so many more. So the long-form story of your mentor started at the tender age of 21. By 25, she'd already become the managing partner of Longform Digital. What makes her journey even more special is the fact that she joined a company that already had an illustrious legacy of 26 years. But your mentor is the only one who was able to successfully establish another wing aside from PR at this company, with a great deal of support and encouragement from the founders who also happen to be her mentors. Needless to say, she's phenomenal at whatever she does. On the professional front, it means helping brands find their voice. And on the personal front, you can't talk about her and not mention her passion for dance and choreography. Yep, your mentor can go from breaking a leg in the boardroom to that on stage with equal amount of ease, and I can't wait for you to learn some of her moves. So please help me welcome your mentor for the day, Ms. Mitwa Sharma. Hi.
That was so sweet, and now the pressure is on to break a leg in this session for sure.
No pressure at all. Knowing you will kill it.
Hopefully.
So Mitwa, the reason I wanted you to be a part of Mentor Mondays is because your career trajectory is extremely unique. Say you've left college and found the quintessential 9-to-5 job, but worked so hard at it that you were able to now deal with the pressures as well as the excitement of building something from scratch, all within the same company. Yes. So who better to give us tips on the following topics? First, business etiquette. Second, project or account management. Third, some of the questions you ask each client to help find a voice for their campaign. Fourth, your recruitment process. And fifth, team building and how you go about it. So without further ado, let me just begin by asking you some tips on business etiquette, because yours would have to be extremely fine-tuned and polished for somebody to entrust you with so much responsibility at such a young age. So help us learn the same, please.
All right. So I think I realized something early on that taking shortcuts don't really help you in the long run. Mm-hmm. So it's better not to do that. Put in the work. It's important. Simple things like the kind of emails you send, how you dress, the way you conduct yourself in meetings, the way you talk to your colleagues, whether juniors or seniors, make a lot of difference. And the third thing I would like to add to this is know when to listen and know when to talk.
Yeah.
It's very essential as well. I think these things and many other things are have been ingrained in all of us who work at Longform and many other companies, I'm sure, by Neeta and Parina, my mentors and our founders. And I think it's something we just can't do without now. So yeah.
I think that was a brilliant takeaway. And what I would also like to learn from you is you guys deal with iconic brands. So at no point can you drop the ball when it comes to their representation. So could you give us some insights or takeaways as for effective account management or project management?
All right. So I think when you're working with clients, when you're working with brands, whether big or small, the kind of client servicing you do matters a lot. Especially in an industry like mine, really, creating and maintaining those relationships is very important. Things like being proactive, taking responsibility, having an edge with always being on top of things, knowing what's trending, giving new ideas, being fresh essentially matters a lot. And I think caring for them, like genuinely feeling like it's your brand, really makes a difference. Saying things like, we should do this, we together should believe in this, I think matters. Yeah.
Adding that personal touch to it, right? Those are actually great takeaways. But what I would also like to understand from you are, say, the three or the key questions that you ask each client to help find their campaign's voice or the brand's campaign voice.
So I think when you're creating a campaign with a client, with a brand, it's important to first understand the purpose of doing it at all. Why are you trying to do this campaign? Secondly, what are you trying to offer when you're doing this campaign? What is the difference you're trying to make? Who are you going to help through this, right? The third thing, and I feel this is really important, and it's something I learned in a short course I recently did at the London College of Communication on brand strategy. Our professor made a valid point about the fact that brand managers are quick to jump to solutions. But one needs to understand is, does that problem even exist, right? What's the point of coming up with a product that is not required in the market? So your audience has to be studied well, and their demand moments have to be studied well. And yeah, I think these are the three questions I would ask. There's another thing I could add to this is, because we're talking about brand voice, I think the voice of a brand comes from its personality. So when you have to prepare the correct characteristics for the brand to understand what is the voice that one would put out there when you communicate with your audience.
100%. I could not agree more with everything that you just said. So if anybody were to come to Longform or to come to you to get employed with your company, with the company that you work for, what would be the recruitment process?
All right. So I think aside from things like where you studied and what is your work experience, because obviously that will be taken into account, I think for me especially, I really want to know what is your attitude towards not just the job you're applying for, but also life. How do you handle different situations? And it could be something in your personal life, for example. Or are you always willing to put your best foot forward? That is something which is very important to me. Then things like, and one way which I recently read is very good to understand the person sitting in front of you and quickly, is that and is to ask them what is your life's worst and best moment. I think that's something that's not something you can prepare for, or you can actually just make things up about. It'll just be what it is. So I think these things really matter to me. Yeah.
That's a great question. I think to everyone who's an employer or a future employee or wants to interview, prep your answer for that. I'm going to use that. But also what I would want to understand is team building. How do you find the right talent? Now that you've found the right talent, how do you retain it?
I think it's important to understand both strengths and weaknesses of each team member, because you can nurture the strengths, of course, but you should also be able to help them and encourage them to push themselves forward so that they can overcome their weaknesses. Second thing that's very important is to listen, right? To be able to answer their questions, to be approachable enough so that they can ask their questions. Otherwise, growth is not going to happen the way it's meant to happen, right? Be open to taking everyone's inputs as well, whether you use them or not. It's important to listen. The third thing I would say is, make sure that everyone is doing what they're doing with happiness. If they have a problem, they should speak about it and solve it. But everything should be done with happiness, which is very important, I feel.
Brilliant. I want to work for you. So good. No, you've been so good as a professional. But what I would love for our viewers is to get to know you a little more personally, get to know their mentor a little more personally. So do you have any daily habits or rituals that help you create a productive, effective day?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I think I'm talking too much about happiness, but I feel like your day should start on a happy note. So I think wake up, if having tea makes you happy, doing a little bit of meditation makes you happy, but giving yourself those 15-20 minutes actually make your day a lot more productive, which means even if you start your day, say half an hour later, you still have a more productive day.
Right.
The other thing is that prioritize what needs to be done, understand what's urgent, understand what's important, right? And make that list tonight before, so you don't have to like get hectic in the morning. The other things that I would say, one thing I've recently started doing is towards the end of the day, I do a little bit of gratitude journaling. And I think when you start your day on a happy note, end it on a positive note, I think it's really nice. Yeah, I mean, you're looking forward to the next day, and even work seems to be going seamlessly that way, so it's really nice. Yeah.
It's actually such a good routine. But if I were to ask you what's on your feed, what kind of content do you consume? And any recommendations?
Yeah, so I consume a lot of content actually. I think things like dancers and portals like Adweek and WGSN that talk about, tell us about what are the different campaigns that brands are doing all over the world. I follow travel and photography pages because I love looking at those amazing pictures on, like, say, Condé Nast Traveler and Travel and Leisure. I also follow stuff like World's 50 Best Restaurants because I want to know what are the new restaurants, hotels opening up, what kind of menus they have, and yeah, I'm crazy about all this stuff. Um, I also follow stuff like Mind Valley, Lion Law, The Power of Speech. I mean, I just love those wellness and mindfulness quotes. I think even though it's just a line, I think it makes so much of a difference in your day, especially if you're having a bad day. And yeah, one thing which is very important and is on my feed on a daily basis is Longform Gram, and you all must follow it.
Yes, guys, Longform right after this. Thank you for such amazing recommendations, Mitwa. But let me just introduce you to the section called a rapid five now. It's like a rapid fire, but our little take on it. I'm just going to throw 5 words at you, and you have to respond with the first thing that pops in your mind, right? So when I say work ethic,
What takes you far and what gets you respect?
team player,
I think team stands for together everyone achieves more, and that's what it should be about to every person in a team.
competition,
Uh, Keeps you going.
born leader,
I think someone not with the power, but someone who can empower other people.
I want to almost clap for that answer. It was so good. And work from home.
Very convenient, actually. I mean, why not, right? Why not? Yeah.
Perfect. Mitwa, you've been so great and I could talk to you forever. But now that we've come to the end, I would love for you to give us a little bit of a mentor mantra before you leave.
Okay, so something I realized just recently, and I wish I realized it earlier, so I'm going to say it so that it helps everybody else, that focus on what you can control, what's in front of you, what's in your hands, and don't fret about things that are not in your control because you can never ever do anything about them.
So best note to end on, especially in the times that we're in right now. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much for the time and helping us learn from your experience. I hope you had a good time.
I really like the fact that I can share so many things, and also I'm flattered that you wanted to talk to me like this.
We're flattered you're here. I'm so glad. And everyone else who watched, I hope you had an even better time watching this, and I hope it was a good utilization of your time. If you have any questions for our mentor, please leave them the question in the comment section below, and we'll get back to you after consulting Mitwa. And if you have any industry or mentor that you would like us to tap into or create content around, let us know that as well. Till then, keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you next Monday. Thank you so much.